Here's the thing about running and exercise. In order to do it well,
you have to do this well too.
So this is the output.
Well, this is the input.
So if you put rubbish in, oh no, wait, no, that's the wrong bit.
And if you put rubbish in,
you get a rubbish output. So we're constantly trying to improve our diet in order to get the very best out of ourselves.
And we want to share what we've learned so that we can help you too. What we eat, why we eat it, and the habits we've created to make that happen.
So here's what you can do. Subscribe to the channel so it helps get us to 100k, but also, more importantly, it helps us help you more.
And as luck would have it, we've got a random day off in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday and it's actually a Thai holiday. So what I thought I would do is take you through my entire day of eating, but I will also give you the lessons we've learned on diet. I'll talk about how we implement all of these lessons, and I'll also talk about the habits that we've been able to create in order to make these lessons stick. So we're going to start here at breakfast and it's 7:30 a.m. So let's get started. So we start here. Now it won't surprise you to learn, this one's going to be the most obvious, that runners, endurance athletes in general, their diet is based around high quality foods. And obviously it's not going to surprise you to know that when we talk about quality foods in athletes, we're talking about unprocessed food instead of processed, because there probably would have been a time back in the day, I'm going to admit this, but I was young, Pop-Tarts might be a thing that I might have eaten. Do you remember those? So where, for example, in breakfast we used to eat maybe cereal or toast, we now eat oats and granola, which I know is a little bit processed, by the way, and fruit and yogurt. And that's quite a big difference. Now, processed is anything where a food has had to go through a process to be ready to eat. You know, like, let's say burgers, sausages, dino nuggies, potato waffles. They've gone through this process rather than it just being a potato, rather than it just being a banana or a mango. So we're trying to steer clear of those foods where possible, and it's, you know, it's not always possible. Even this yogurt is Greek yogurt but with vanilla flavouring, because I just love vanilla flavouring. So we're not perfect. So eating high quality food probably shouldn't come as a shock to us. I think we all know that's what we need to do. But the other thing that runners, endurance athletes do well, and this is the one that's the bone of contention, by the way, is that they, in fact, let me get upstairs and put the tray down to tell you. And now that I'm comfortable and eating my breakfast, which feels a lot better, by the way, I can tell you that the second thing that endurance runners do that elite and probably all of us should do is they eat a carb-centered diet. Now let's be clear, when I say carb-centered, don't confuse that with carb-heavy. It just means that the bulk of what I eat has carbohydrates as a staple part of it. When you strip it all back, what you realise is that it's very rare to find any elite endurance athletes that don't have carbs in their diet. A Kenyan staple, for example, is ugali. There's rice, potato, pasta, but it is there. Glycogen or glucose form the body's primary energy source, not just for exercise, but to function. Even at low intensity, the body still uses them, just in lower amounts. If you want to fulfill your potential, you need carbs in your diet, and that's not just me speaking. I've interviewed Matt Fitzgerald, Renee McGregor on the subject, so although I'm not a nutritionist, I listen to those that are. And while I know we're not elite endurance athletes, we still should learn lessons from them. After all, they're usually there for a reason. And you'll never convince me otherwise, because carbs is my life. And I get that for some people it's not, but I'm all in. Now before we go out for the day, let's quickly talk supplements. So let's start with how we start the day. Vitamin C, because it has been proven that unless literally that's all you're drinking or eating, it can't do harm, it can only do you good. And when you're training, as most of you might know, your immune system gets a little bit lower in tough times, and therefore vitamin C helps boost that immune system back up. Then we have a little pot here of daily supplements that we take. It's Tuesday, so come on, out you come.
This is the main one for me, omega-3 fish oils, healthy joints, once again, proven. Training is hard on the muscles, it breaks them down. As the strength and conditioning, I want to help repair them quicker and better. So I've done a bit of research, made sure that I know that it's the right type of protein. Whey protein is the way, I think, for me as an additional, so I've gone with this. And I realise, actually, this sounds like I'm taking a lot of supplements, but if you compare it to someone like Brian Johnson, who I think takes something like 200 tablets a day, this is pretty reasonable for what it gives me. The only other thing that I don't now take, that I used to in the UK, was vitamin D, because we weren't getting enough sunshine. Definitely getting enough of that right now. This is actually going to turn into kind of half a daily vlog and half of a vlog where we're trying to help you with the diet stuff, because we're actually going to take you on a journey, because it's our day off. We booked a, what do you call it? Like a pool pass, pool day. So we're going to take you to the swimming pool in the centre of Bangkok, where we're going to go and pick up the rest of the bits in a minute. Pool day.
Gate girl.
Gate girl. Oh. So we booked a cabana for the day. So this is going to be our base for the day, which is quite exciting in itself. And also this is the day, May the 1st, when we're making this video, where we're actually launching our class 2 of marathon training. So that's really exciting. We're just going to put the finishing touches in here and then it's going. So if you want to train for a marathon in the autumn, all of the information will be in the description to this video. Right, go on, climb in. And look at this view. And while we're talking about diet, it's probably also best to touch on the hydration element of what you're doing with your training and life. Be honest, how many of you really think that you hydrate enough? Hey, because we live in a country that is as hot as the devil's crotch, so water doesn't actually cut it here. And probably, in the majority of cases, doesn't really cut it anywhere in the world in terms of your hydration needs. Because when you sweat, you don't just sweat water. So we go with electrolytes as well. So queuing up.
I had no idea what my cue was.
No, so we go with electrolytes as well, because we know we have to put in what we sweat out, and you don't just sweat out water. So my recommendation is buy a brand that you like and that you trust. We use Bix because we like it, but also Vlad Excel, who runs the company, who created the company, is a friend of ours, so it's runners supporting runners. But we make sure that we hydrate in the right ways. Electrolytes sometimes, water sometimes. Okay, full disclosure before we talk about the next diet point is that I did not know this comes with fries. I thought it was just salad. And one thing that elite athletes especially do very well at, but actually I think we can very much take a leaf out of their book, is that they eat individually. And what that means is they know what works for their body. So when they go out and about, or even when they're at home, they might eat different things to their peers, to their friends. For example, if you look at Mary and I, Mary's gone for a salad and a mango smoothie, whereas I've gone for a mango smoothie, but also I've gone for a veggie pitta thing. What is it?
Grilled veggie pitta.
Grilled veggie pitta. So we know what we like, we know what fuels us best, and we know as and when we need to eat as well, and what levels we need to eat at.
Yeah, I might try one of your French fries though, if that's okay.
You can try a French fry. So the art to all of this is experimentation. You eat individually through years of trying and failing sometimes and succeeding sometimes, and you dial in what you really feel works for you. A good example of that is Mary works very well training wise on rice.
Yeah.
I work very well training wise on potato, and we know that, so we make sure we cater for both of those things by eating individually. Another really important part of our dietary habits is that we don't snack very often, but we don't snack. Let me just show you, cut to home. Thanks. Right, I'm going to show you around the house just to prove to you how we set our environment, and this would, I suppose, in many people's houses be a snack cupboard. Ribena, what's that? Cashew nuts. I'm allergic to nuts. No snack there. Then perhaps another option is the fridge, and here we've got all of our stuff for breakfast. I will admit, look, custard cream. There's nothing I could do about that. Someone I coach, who I met up with in Boston, brought them over from the UK because she knew how much I love them, so thanks Ali. But usually, I promise you, there's no snack in there. Again, pretty bare cupboard, no crisps, no bread. I don't know why that's there. That's not me. So the cupboard is pretty much bare other than the food that we eat on the daily in the fridge and in the freezer, but it helps me in my weak moments. So we'll get into it in a bit more detail a bit later when we talk about habits, but ultimately we just create an environment that doesn't allow snacking, because if I was allowed to snack, 100% I would. Another crucial aspect to a runner's diet is to eat everything, and by that I don't mean foods you don't like, and I certainly don't mean foods you have an allergy to. All I really mean is all of the major food groups: protein, carbs, fats, fruit and veg, vitamins, minerals. It really means don't restrict your body whilst it's in a constant process of breakdown, growth and repair. You need carbs for fuel, protein to repair, fats and fruits and veg for a whole host of bodily functions. So diets like paleo or even low carb, high fat, and the ridiculousness of the Liver King just won't see you get the best out of yourself. And you can even throw into the mix the odd treat meal of processed foods. Everything means everything, just some of it in moderation. Training is hard, so my opinion is we don't make it any harder with a subpar diet choice. Oh, that's the day, meh. Time to go home.
So good.
Yeah, that was good to relax. But we've got one more meal to come and a little bit more advice. Another really valuable lesson about our diet is to eat enough, and it's something that we've had to teach ourselves over the last year or two. So what does eat enough mean? So when it comes to meals, eat enough is the art of A, first bit, it's almost like a two-parter. A, knowing when you're hungry. That basically means listening to your body and then eating when you feel it. I suppose it's about rewriting those internal signals. So I know we're all guilty of maybe eating when we're not actually hungry, but we see something that we like, whether it be ice cream, custard creams, ice cream. So once you've responded to those feelings of hunger, you have to also train yourself to respond to the feeling of satiety or being full up. Yeah, we haven't even served everything that we'd prepared, which means that we really are trying to look at portion distortion.
Lots of us were brought up to clean our plate, and actually, as time's moved on and portion sizes have got bigger, it can be really unhealthy to get into the habit of clearing the plate because often it's too much food.
Yeah, so it's been a long journey for me personally, but what I will say now is I try and listen to those signals in my body that I've had enough, I've eaten enough, I don't need any more, because there was a time, a long time in my life where I would eat until my plate was clean and my stomach hurt. That was just how I was brought up. Now it's very much full stop, or at least I try.
So I'm actually not that hungry tonight, so I'm done. I'm actually got a feeling I'm full. I'm calling it.
I am also done, but I didn't call it. I did finish my plate. Apologies about the gravy. I do love gravy. But again, I don't feel too full, so I'm pretty happy with that. And that kind of takes us through the day up to the point of bed. So now you know our kind of 5 core dietary rules, and you know our supplement strategy and our hydration strategy. We've got to talk about how we made all of that a habit. And sorry about this, I can see I've got I just spilt mango shake down myself. But actually, you've seen our house, you've seen that we've got things in the cupboard that are healthy, and we don't have to process stuff in the cupboards, because if there was chocolate in the fridge and if there was crisps in the cupboard, I probably would eat it because I'm that weak. So we had to go back a few steps to create the habits to not have that in the first place. And habits are created in a 4-step process. We won't get into that, whole nother video, but essentially when we go shopping, we make sure that we don't feel hungry. We drink water, we might eat something healthy like some fruit, but we make sure we don't go there hungry, because that's when we make silly decisions. And it really is that frighteningly simple, actually. We know what we shouldn't eat, we know that we might buy it if we're hungry and make silly decisions, so we cut it off at the very start of the journey. And the other way that we make these habits stick when it comes to eating is we just hold each other accountable. For the most part, if I'm putting too much on the plate when we're eating, Mary will tell me. If Mary's putting too much on the plate, I'll tell her. And if we're eating and we mention, say we feel full up and we're 3/4 of the way through the meal, the other one of us will encourage them to stop eating, because we know that that's the right time. So while I get that that's not always possible for everyone, if you are with someone or have a flatmate or anything like that, still live at home, then you need to train the other people to hold you accountable and vice versa. And that is how we kind of make our habits stick. It actually sounds really simple now I'm saying it out loud, but it really is for us. You know, that's how we do it. Oh look, a potato. I hope you liked this video enough to consider subscribing to the channel, and if you did like the video, then you're definitely going to like this one, which is 6 small diet changes that saved our running life. See you next Sunday.